Welcome to today's explainer. Hey everyone, if you're a Python beginner, a college student, or just totally fascinated by data science, you're in the exact right spot. We're tackling a massive, honestly make or break challenge in supervised machine learning today. Our core goal is simple, but absolutely crucial, making sure the machine learning models we build actually work out there in the real world and don't just completely fall apart the second they see new data.
So let's set the stage with a quick scenario. Imagine you're a student studying for a massive final exam, right? You decide to take just one single practice test, and boom, you score 100%. Awesome. But do you really know the material? Or did you just get incredibly lucky with those exact questions? Because when the real exam hits with totally different questions, you might just bomb it. Well, machine learning models do the exact same thing. If we're not careful, they literally just memorize the practice data.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. The single split problem. 2. What is cross-validation? 3. How K-fold works. 4. The bias-variance trade-off. 5. Hyperparameters and model selection. And finally, 6. Python tools and metrics.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the single split problem.
Normally, you take your cleaned data set, you shuffle the rows so there's no weird sequential bias, and you split it. A 70-30 or 80-20 split is super typical. You use the top 70% to train your model and hide that bottom 30% to test it later. It's a great, necessary first step. But what if your random shuffle was just, unlucky? What if all the really weird, complex examples ended up in the test set? Relying on that one single evaluation can give you a lot of false confidence about how your model is going to perform in the wild. And that false confidence usually masks our biggest enemy. To frame it, let's look at this classic academic definition from Tom Mitchell. He basically says overfitting happens when a model fits the training examples perfectly, but a different, maybe simpler model would actually perform way better on the real-world data. In plain English, it memorized the practice test, but totally failed to learn the actual underlying concepts.
This beautifully illustrates exactly what Mitchell is talking about. Over on the left, we've got underfitting. The model is just too simple, literally a straight line that completely misses the obvious curve of the data. But look at the right side. No way, right? That is overfitting. The model is way too complex, zigzagging all over the place just to connect every single red dot. It's memorizing pure noise. When new data points finally arrive, that super erratic line is going to make terrible predictions. Which brings us to section 2. What is cross-validation?
So how do we rescue our models from that fatal single split flaw and avoid overfitting? We use cross-validation. Let's compare them for a second. A simple train test split is fast, sure, but it's a super risky single evaluation. Cross-validation, on the other hand, is incredibly thorough. Going back to our exam analogy, it's like making the student take 5 or 10 completely different practice tests. By maximizing our training data and testing multiple combinations, we basically guarantee true mastery and generalization.
Let's move on to section 3, how K-fold works. Let's see how this actually works in practice.
We're going to focus on the absolute most common method data scientists use, K-fold cross-validation. To elegantly solve our data shortage problem, we take the entire data set and chop it up into K-equal-sized chunks, or folds. Here, K equals 5. For the very first test, we use K-1 chunks, those are the blue ones, for training. And we hold out just one single chunk, the orange hatched one, to act as our validation set. Here are the concrete steps. First, divide the data. Second, hold out one fold. Third, train on the rest. But step 4 is where the real magic happens. We repeat this process K times. This means every single piece of data gets to act as the validation set exactly once. By the time we reach step 5 and average out all our results, we've dramatically minimized the chance that an unlucky data split tricked us into overfitting.
Moving right along to section 4, the bias-variance trade-off.
Now that we've got this robust way to evaluate our models, we have to connect it back to the fundamental battle in machine learning, managing bias and variance. Cross-validation is essentially our diagnostic tool here. If our cross-validation scores are consistently bad across all the folds, well, we likely have high bias. The model is stubbornly rigid and it's underfitting. But if the scores swing wildly from fold to fold, like amazing on fold 1 but terrible on fold 3, then we've got high variance. The model is super erratic and just overfitting to whatever data it happens to see in that moment.
Next step, section 5, hyperparameters and model selection.
So once cross-validation diagnoses a bias or variance issue, how do we actually fix it? We adjust the model's settings, known as hyperparameters. Think of hyperparameters like the tuning knobs on a radio. They're basically lines of code that control how fast a model learns and how complex it can get, like telling a decision tree it can't grow past a certain depth. We use cross-validation to safely twist and tune these knobs on our internal validation sets, which makes absolutely sure we don't accidentally leak any information from our final, held-out test data.
And the coolest part? You don't even have to turn those knobs manually. We use advanced optimization tools like Grid Search, which literally methodically tests every single possible combination of hyperparameters you throw at it. For even more rigor, data scientists use nested cross-validation. This setup is brilliant. It uses an inner loop of cross-validation just to tune the hyperparameters and an outer loop to evaluate how well that newly tuned model actually generalizes. It is absolutely the gold standard for reliable model selection.
Finally, Section 6, Python Tools and Metrics. Let's bring all this theory into reality.
If you're working in Python, your absolute best friend is the scikit-learn toolkit. Listen, you absolutely do not need to write complex for loops from scratch to divide your data into k-chunks. Python's got you covered. Scikit-learn has built-in functions like cross-val score for instant k-fold valuation and grid search VV to totally automate that hyperparameter tuning process we were just talking about. When you run those tools, you need a metric to look at, right? A super common one for regression tasks is mean absolute error, or MAE. The really beautiful thing about using this alongside cross-validation is that you get an average MAE across all your folds. If that average error is low and it stays consistent across the folds, you've statistically proven that your model has actually learned the underlying patterns rather than just memorizing rows. Which brings us to our main takeaway today. Training a model is easy, but proving it works is hard. Cross-validation gives you that solid proof. But it leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Once you've rigorously evaluated a model and you know for a fact it generalizes beautifully, how do you safely deploy it into a live production environment where data is constantly changing? I mean, a bad model in healthcare or finance, that's a total disaster. Think on that, because making that jump from validation to real-world deployment is exactly what we're going to explore next time. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.